guys, Samantha from GSMO Tutorials here, and welcome back to another Inspired by That Photo episode. So, you should be able to see the photo on screen. This is the one that we are going to be using today. And so first what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab some white clay, just because this is going to be the base of our pendant. You want this to have been run out on the thickest setting of a pasta machine, or roughly about 8mm thick. And I'm just burnishing it to give it a nice smooth finish. Okay, and so the picture is one of a pebbly beach with a sunset. And so today I'm going to be using my liquid clay crackle technique. If you haven't already seen the video that I showed on that, it is the third episode in my Experiment With Me series, but I'm going to be using it today to create a project. So before we get onto that technique, we want to prepare our base. So I've got some white, coral, pale blue, and I believe this is peach. Let me just double check that. No, it's apricot. So this one's apricot, and this is all Primo that we're working with today. So for each of these, this is supposed to represent our sunset. I am then going to be using a stencil, and I just want to work out whereabouts I want the stencil to go. So stencil is going to be sitting like that, and so I want the sunset to kind of start around here and then work up. Okay, so let's warm up the peach first, and I just do that by rubbing it in my hands. Then I'm just going to take a little bit and start near the bottom, and I'm going to smudge like so. I'm going to take another one, and I'm going to smudge. And I'll just repeat that process a few times until I get up to about here. And just smudge like so. And then I'll also go in the other direction just to smooth it out. Like so. And generally what I'll do is I won't work with one colour completely, I will work with all three colours. I've got white here just in case, we might not actually need that. So what I want to do is I want to have the coral, which is the pink colour, then the apricot colour, then the pale blue. But I want them to kind of be mixed into one another. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to warm up all three colours, smear them like this, but I'm going to interlay them as I smear. Okay, and there we go. So you can see they're all just kind of layered over each other, kind of having a gradual gradient. Then you're going to take a piece of paper and you're going to burnish this thoroughly. Just because it's going to be covered in fingerprints and marks, it's not going to be flat at all. And you just want this to be a nice smooth piece once again. So you can burnish with your fingers, you can burnish with a roller, it's completely up to you. Just get it nice and flat so that you can't see any of those finger marks or potholes anymore. Okay, and that should just about do. There we go, and so that should be completely smooth. It is just about, I might just give it one last little burnish. Okay, but yeah, that's pretty much smooth. Then I'm going to bring over the stencil of my choice. I'm going to be using this one. And let me just put it this way around. Need to get that roller out the way. There we go. Okay, then I'm going to position it so that it's sitting right in the middle there. Like so. Okay, then you can just burnish it down with your fingers, or you can use a piece of paper just to gently pop that stencil down so that it's stuck completely. There we go, and that should work. Just because you don't want any of the liquid clay leaching out the edges. Then I'm going to pop that to the side and we're going to mix up our colours. Okay, so I'm going to be going with the pebbles like before. And so our main colours are going to be black and white. So I'm going to pop a little bit of black down because we want pure black. then I'm also going to mix up some other colours, so I'm just going to pop down a little bit of black for each of those. And this is Kato liquid clay that I'm working with. You can use Sculpey as well, that works too. And I'm going to pop a little bit of white, roughly the same amount as the black that I've popped down, so that we create a grey colour. And actually I'm going to pop one more up here, because I do want just a pure grey colour. These ones we're going to add colour to. Okay, then you are going to select your colours. So my first one is going to be blue, and I'm going to mix that in here, and I'm going to mix a fair amount to overcome that black, but we're going to end up with kind of a blue-grey. That's what I want. The next one is going to be a red colour, and I want less red than I put the blue because the red's a stronger colour. And then lastly I'm actually going to pop some gold in, and you can use any colours you want. These are the colours I've chosen to use. There we go. Then mix those together, and all you need to do for that is just grab a skewer, mix it together, and you can adjust it if you need. Like this colour over here is maybe a touch too bright for me, so I would add, it's a little bit too much like the colour, so I would add more black and white to that one. And I'll continue on through all of the colours. And there we go. So these two both ended up needing, actually all three of these ended up needing a little more white and a little more black. But yeah, that's how they should look. They're kind of a very muted grey colour, which is supposed to offset the brightness of our sunset. And keep in mind that this is going to be crackled. So I'm just going to take a brush. I've also got some white and plain black. And what I'm going to do is I'm not going to mix it all together. I'm going to mainly use the red on this side, and I'm going to mainly use the blue on that side, and then the gold I'm going to mix in between, and the black and the white and the grey I'm going to mix in between. So we'll have kind of a gradient going here too. And remember to just kind of a little bit crossover. Okay, so everything I'm doing on this side you would repeat the other side, but with the blue colour. Okay, that should do. Then I will leave the gold for now because that's going to be my mix in colour, where I'm going to kind of get the gradient going. Just trying to move fast here so that I don't bore you guys. Okay, and notice that I'm not really changing my brush. I'm leaving it the exact colour that it is, so that the colours are all kind of mixed. I'm just tapping it down so that we get a mottled appearance, which I think is the best appearance, at least personally, just because we are trying to copy those pebbles and they all had a very nice mottled appearance. They weren't a straight colour. So that's once I've got enough of all colours set down, I will just go and gently fill in all the gaps. So I don't want to mix the colours too much, so I will be careful not to do that. But I don't want any of them to be a solid colour. So I'll just gently get that all tapped down so it's all filled in. Okay, and that should do. Clean off your brush. There we go, and that's the blue side. Then I'm just going to take a little bit of that gold and I'm going to pop it along just over here where the two pieces meet, as almost like a border. I'll clean off my brush and then I'll repeat on this side, just so that we've got kind of a border, like so. Okay, and And now bear in mind, these are my colour choices. You by no means have to actually use the same ones. Feel free to use brighter colours if you want to. It's completely up to you what you want to use, so don't feel the need to copy me exactly. By all means, if you want to, you can. But yeah, those are the colours. I'm just going to let it set for a little bit. Not necessarily set, settle is what I'm looking for. Just so that the colours spread out. I'm going to clean up in the meantime, and then we can do the final step before we have to wait. Okay, then last step is to take a piece of paper, pop that down, burnish, just so that it's stuck down well and is touching all that liquid clay. We don't want any air bubbles if we can help it. Okay, take that very carefully, flip it so that it is liquid clay side facing down, and put that to the side for a minimum of 24 hours. For the best crackles, I like to leave it for 48 hours or even longer. And what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to peel the paper up off the back here, because I don't want my actual clay to leach. I just want the liquid clay to, because the paper soaks up the oils of the polymer clay, so I only want the liquid clay's oils to get sucked up. I don't want the back to, because then this becomes very crispy later on and it becomes very difficult to work with. So it's fine to leave it for a long time, so long as there's no paper resting on the back. Swap that to the side and I will see you in 48 hours. Okay, so I've actually left this for only 24 hours, and now I just want to peel it up because we've had a lot of leaching here. See whether it's somewhat dry or not, or whether we need to change the piece of paper. I'm just going to peel that up, and you can see we get a little bit, but not too much, left on the paper. And it's still a little, it's not completely dry, but it won't really smudge. There's one spot there that's a little bit wet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lift it up off the stencil for the moment, because it will be easier if it's not too dry. And I'm actually going to transfer that and just gently press that down onto the tile so that it sticks and makes lifting the stencil easier. Let's see, is that coming out cleanly? Yes, it is. Here we go, that came up cleanly. As for that, you can use that for other things. I did show that on the previous tutorial that I mentioned earlier. Yeah, you can see that we've got a little bit of spilling, but that's okay. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to place that face down onto a piece of paper for another 12 hours or so, just to dry it, because I can see that it is not dry enough to crackle yet. And we'll just have gotten the stencil part out of the way, therefore it will it just comes up cleaner that way. So I'll pop a piece of paper, flip it again, leave it for 12 hours. Okay, so it's roughly been about 12 hours, which should be enough. Now also something I want to let you know that I've done is on the back side here, I have actually laid the clay down onto the stencil, because we had a bunch of liquid clay still sitting on the stencil. So that will have been sitting for a while and absorbing into the clay. So that will be our backing. So I'm just going to place this down on the paper. I'm just going to lift this up. And it won't get everything, but you'll get a lot of pigmentation, and it can just create an interesting back, and that's how I like to reuse the liquid clay on here. Okay, so I'm just going to get 2 pieces of clean paper, because we don't want to be having pigment where it shouldn't be. So I'll just pop this down, and I will use the paper just to gently burnish it a little bit. I am going to be using the roller, but I will burnish it first, just a touch to make sure that there's no like sticky spots, and there aren't any. So then I'm going to take my roller and I'm going to roll across the surface. and I'm going to be doing this in all directions, trying to get a nice even crackle without distorting the image. So I want it to be stretching out in all directions, like so. And this is why working on a piece of paper is nice, because it will allow you to move it around. Okay, and I don't want to go any further than that, but you can see there how we've got some really nice crackles. Okay, on the back we also have smoothed it out and crackled the little bit of liquid clay that we have. Okay, so I've just brought over the cutters I'm going to use, and these are some cutters from my Etsy store. There will be a link to them in the description below. They're not all of them. The set actually consists of 8 cutters, and so I've just taken the second cutter of each. So if I demonstrate that, so this one's actually the tallest, like so, and then I've just simply taken these ones and left these ones out. You can use any cutters you want. So I'll pop those to the side just for the moment, because I need this to be stuck onto a tile. Make sure it's a tile that you can bake on, because you don't want to be moving these until they are set. Burnish your clay down onto the tile, and this does mean that you're going to end up with a little bit of a shiny back, but that's okay. And just make sure that that's burnished properly, because you don't want them sticking the cutters. The thinner the cutters, which the ones that we have are quite thin, the more likely it is to stick. So then I'm going to pop this in the middle, and I'm just double checking that I have enough space on each side to take what I want, and I do. Okay, so just position it and cut down. Now the clay is not thick enough that you're going to be able to drill a hole through. I'm going to be drilling a hole at the top and connect it to chain once it is baked. If you don't want to do that and would rather drill a hole through the side, you're going to need to make this clay a lot thicker. Okay. And then I'm actually going to, you can either continue cutting like that, to which this will fade away, or you can cut in the middle, to which you kind of keep this as a straight piece. So that's completely up to you how you want to do that. Okay, there we go. Then I'm also going to take a cutter, and I'm just going to position it in a spot that I like, and I'm going to cut a pair of earrings. So I think that's what looks nice. So I'll cut one from the blue side, and I also will cut one on the red side. There we go. And just lift this up, and it should come up relatively cleanly. Okay. And don't worry about all these bits that are stuck to the tile. That can be taken care of once they are set. And then I'll basically just pop that into the oven straight as it is. I won't fuss with it any more than maybe wipe away any fingerprints that might have accidentally got pressed in. And I'll bake that for a full hour at Primo's recommended temperature. Okay, and so once the pieces are out of the oven, you should be able to slip them up off of the tile, and they should be nice and clean around the edges. If they aren't, just take a craft knife and quickly scrape off the edges that need to be scraped. So now I have already attached this to the midpoint of our chain that we're going to be putting them on. And so I'm going to be repeating the same process for all of these. You just drill a hole right at the top. These don't need to be sealed because they are all liquid clay. You can give them a glaze if you wish to have them have a glossy finish, but I want them to stay matte, and so I'm going to keep them exactly the way they are. Okay, then I will just line them up where they're supposed to go. Okay, and it's just about the spacing that I want. Now the amount of space and how you're going to put them on depends on the chain that you've got and how far away each of the pieces you want them to be, but right now I've got about 6 links between each of these pieces. I want to put it on the 7th link, so let me just count that again because I lost count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I want it on that one, keeping an eye on it. And then just pop your piece on, lay it down and spread your chain again so that it remains nice and straight, like so. And then just double check, because you always want to double check because it's easier to fix a mistake now than later on once you've put a whole bunch more pieces on and you ended up getting the first one on the wrong row. And I'm just going to repeat with all of them. And there we go, nice and easy. Now this is just one way to string these pieces. I actually haven't done this before. Generally speaking, I will make these, at least these shapes anyway, quite a bit thicker and then drill holes rather than from the front to back. I'll drill it from side to side and then put it on a string, but I quite like how it looks on a chain. Also, these are double-sided, so let me just flip this quickly, and you can see there that they are double-sided, and the back isn't going to look as nice as the front because we didn't make it so that the back was the best bit. It was just so it looks nice. So you can wear it this way around if you want to, but personally I think this way around looks the best. But yeah, that's basically it for today's tutorial. If you enjoyed it, please do let me know in the comments below. And bear in mind, in the previous Inspired by That Photo episodes, I've kept the piece quite similar to the photo, but you don't always have to do this. As you can see with this one, it is very loosely based on the photo. The photo should be up right now. But yeah, you can see it's very loosely based and I just use it as a springboard. So take that as you will, but you can just use the photos as a way to get you started on a project. It doesn't have to look exactly the same as the photo. But yeah, if you enjoyed it, please leave a like and comment. That always helps the videos out. And if you'd like to further support this channel, please do consider becoming a patron. There is a join button just below this video. And or buying tools from my Etsy store also really helps the channel out. Any support you can provide is greatly appreciated. And as always, I will see you in the next tutorial. Bye for now.